Hi. So I'm moving back into my house tomorrow, and we recorded an episode of Cinnamon this morning, and and as soon as we were done recording, we did a bunch of moving stuff. That's why actually I'm using the light up top, and I don't have my other lights because those are all in our old house in our house that we're moving back into. Um, and so we moved a bunch of stuff, and we'll be back in like in a day or two, depending on what the movers do with some of the other stuff. But so I was editing the episode that's going to be out this coming week about Once Upon a Time in America, and my wife calls. She's just gotten back from a she's getting back from a play date my son had with a friend, and my wife was like, "Hey, we need to go grab some stuff for the house. Walk the dogs real quick, and then come out to the driveway, and we'll go get the stuff for the house." So I'm like, okay. So we drive to this shopping center that has stuff that you would buy, you might use to decorate the house. We are getting some new furniture and some new stuff because we're getting rid of some of the stuff in the process. We park, we start walking into the shopping center, and there is a movie theater there. And my wife says, Logan, we can get popcorn at the theater. You don't have to actually go see a movie to get popcorn, because he's been talking about popcorn for movie theaters and for 2 or 3 weeks now. He's been like, well, movie theater popcorn's the best popcorn, and and you can't really get it anywhere else. Like, you can't get that quality anywhere else. And so, I'm actually going pretty go with the flow today, and I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll go get that. And she's like, do you want anything? And I'm like, no, I don't want any. Like, it's fine if you guys want to walk around to the shopping center with movie theater popcorn, but I'm good. And I did end up getting a drink. I was like, yeah, I'll get a drink. Um, so we're standing there waiting for the stuff, and I'm like, I talked about, the drama looks really good. We can't see it with Logan, but that looks good. If you guys want to do shopping, I'll go see the drama while you're doing that. And my wife's kind of giving me this weird look, and then we turn around and we're looking at the posters, and there's a poster for Project Hail Mary, and she says, because it says coming soon on the poster, and my wife says, coming soon? I thought that was already out. And I'm like, it is already out. I asked to see it 3 weeks ago, remember? And she's giving me this look, and I'm like, what is the look? They had bought tickets to the movie, and they were surprising me. So like, I'm literally in the lobby of the movie theater waiting for popcorn, and I did not know we were going to see a movie. So that was like a really fun surprise from the two of them. It was a very like silly way of doing it, I suppose. And it was really funny. And I was it was a little bit of like, oh yeah, thank you, that's very nice of you. And then we go in, which is also probably good for her, because I am a basket case every time we try to go to the movies, being like, it starts at 5:45, and we were walking in at 5:53, which if I had known ahead of time, I probably would have freaked out a little bit. But the trailers were still going when we got in. So saw Project Hail Mary. That's the big thing. And it was really great. I have not read the book. I read The Martian, and I saw The Martian, and I liked those. I have not read Artemis, which was the second book for Andy Weir, but I have not read Project Hail Mary. It was great. I loved this movie. There was a couple parts where I was getting ready to not love it because of things that I thought might happen, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you if you haven't seen it, but I will just say that it's fun. I think there's a good emotional range to it. I think the story is pretty good. It's I'm trying not to give anything away, but it's been out for 3 weeks, so you should be like, you should see it. Um, but the big thing is, I thought that visually it was really stunning. There was really, other than those couple parts where I was like, if this takes this turn, I'm not going to like it. There was no point at which I was not enthralled with the movie. Um, I did see some things a couple days ago about people talking about, like posting the YouTube videos that were like, why this isn't a good movie, or what the problem is, and I just skipped them because I was like, I don't want to know. Probably gonna have spoilers, so I may go back and see what their problems are. Although I have been finding lately that if I enjoy something, I don't know that I want to see someone else dissect it, because then, like, if I enjoyed it, why go back and like kind of ruin it for myself? Which, I think that is like, I've never gone back and seen Thor 4 because I liked Thor 4, and then people talked about how bad it was. So I was like, I'm just never going to see it again because I did enjoy it. Um, Not to say that it was great, but like, I liked it. But yeah, I think this was a really good movie. I think Ryan Gosling's amazing in it. I think that I really thought the visual style was really cool. One thing that I will say that you kind of see in the trailer, but so this isn't a huge spoiler, and if you've read the book, um, the idea of creating, like aliens or alien tech or any of those things kind of can seem so like creating new stuff that isn't like, little green men or, ET, or, something that hasn't been done before visually is seems like a daunting task. And I think that this movie did that really well. Like, there was some visual elements that were not that I felt like kind of harkened back to like some of the pieces of Interstellar, but I really, and other movies like that, but I didn't think that I thought a lot of it was very original in its look, which is really cool. It's kind of hard to think like, I think we think humanoid, or we think with a like we think with earth-based creatures, and then we start to like take and change from them. And I suppose there is like one or two earth-based creatures that you could kind of start to talk about here, but I think that it's pulled enough that like it felt very original in its presentation of all of that. And I don't think that's a spoiler because the trailer shows some of it, yeah, or at least it lets you know what's going on with that. So I think that's like a really fun way of looking at it. I mean, I've only seen 3 movies that have actually come out this year so far. I'm trying to, for me, this is kind of where we start to like really hit the ground running. And the year is like the beginning of April. We start to get into like blockbuster and drama territory. Like all of the first couple months of the year are always dedicated to Oscar stuff, which is from the year before. So like I'm now starting to hit the ground running, and this so far of the 3 that I've seen is my favorite. Um, that may change a lot. But yeah, I really loved this movie. I think that you should go check it out if you haven't already. If you like sci-fi, I know there's been a little bit of like stuff about Andy Weir because I guess he said some things about the like political landscape around sci-fi. And I will say, to address that for a second, I think that like sci-fi very often is an allegory for political things. Like Star Trek obviously has been, and lots of dystopic sci-fi stuff. His sci-fi movies are this one's sci-fi proper. The Martian is kind of sci-fi adjacent, I suppose, because like everything's hypothetically possible. They're way more grounded in like the exploration of science. So this is more like I think showing that to my son tonight, like especially the process when they're working on the process of discovery and the scientific method, is a really cool aspect of his of Andy Weir's books and movies. Um, so it's a very different thing than like what I consider more regular sci-fi. I do understand the criticism that people had with that statement, but I also think like looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's it's because he's not focused in that. He's focused in this other thing, and there is a place for that. There's definitely a place for inspiring people to like love science and want to dive into science. Like Steven Spielberg, made Indiana Jones, and then people were back in archaeology for a long time, and then he made Jurassic Park, and people were really into, paleontology and got really interested in dinosaurs again. So movies that inspire kids and generations are always necessary, especially on topics like science and things that are going to help humanity forward. So I understand the criticisms, but I also think like his thing has its own place too. Um, But yeah, go ahead and check this out. I am like definitely, like I said, ranking it as my number 120 movie of 2026 so far. That's a very small list, but it's going to grow, and we'll see where it ends up in the end of the year on my Letterboxd. And if you haven't already, hit like and subscribe. And we'll talk to you this week. We're going to be doing Once Upon a Time in America over on Cinnamon.